All right, I think we're live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual. I'm going to wake up with you lovely people today. It's very, very early, so I'm going to do a lot of posting, sitting here with everybody, and I have most likely an afternoon consultation, so I don't know what that's going to do for afternoon live streams, but we'll see. We'll see where that goes. In the meantime, I got to restart the Facebook because it didn't load. Facebook did not load, so I got to do this all over again. Um, I thought it loaded and it didn't because I was in the process when this started. A lot of times it won't finish loading it up, unfortunately, because it senses I'm starting the YouTube live, so it does weird stuff. I don't get it. But let's try that again. Hopefully it works this time. Says it's starting. Guess we'll find out in a moment here. All right, good. Looks like we're on Facebook now also. So streaming on all my platforms. Let me get the Amazon wish list up, and then I'll hop over and see how everyone's doing on the tubes. Good morning, Dole. How you doing? I'm just getting woke up, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of posting at the start here while I get engaged with everyone. But feel free to start asking your questions. It's a very early start, Peppermint. I'll be in here a long time. I have probably another paid consultation this afternoon, which may or may not affect the afternoon stream, but I'm up early, couldn't sleep. So I'm like, what the heck, let's get in and do this. I think once I get through all this fruit and some of these potatoes, I'm going to go back to a clean, lower carb diet and see what happens with how my body looks. Um, I'll discuss that. I'm really leaning in that direction, but meaning won't be eating a lot of saturated fat, even if I do a keto-ish diet. All right, to be getting a lot of nut butters and avocados, yeah, and eggs. Because I get a little frustrated with the fact that I'm leaner, but I don't look leaner because of all the carbs. I'm one of those people that look dramatically leaner when I drop my carbs down with no change in body fat. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I was still doing that again when I hit the 500 squat back in January, and then I rotated over. So we'll see. About to do a session. Good stuff. Okay. All right. Especially, I think with me fasting and doing the fasted training, it tends to work really well. So it's the thing is though, I don't always like to do that approach. Um, Also, because I feel like it works well for me, but it doesn't work well for everyone. So then when you do it, everyone thinks you're promoting it for everybody. I think that's the biggest problem with any sort of dietary approach, you know. And then people will literally accuse you of flip flopping because you're doing something that you say probably won't work for half the population. That they think that you're telling everyone to do and you're flip flopping. It's very strange. I don't know, man. I don't know what we do about that with people's inability to grasp those concepts. Just like for me, like if I rotate from conjugate to full body, everyone assumes, oh, you're flip flopping and you're only promoting full body. Well, no. I have clients on body part splits. Right? I have clients on full body. I have clients on conjugate. I feel like people struggle with these concepts. I think it's a lot for people to grasp sometimes. And I think a lot of people just simply can't handle the fact that a person can promote different methods undogmatically. So, in different situations. got to get that post going. And I'll come back to you lovely people here. Okay. That looks like a good post. Yeah, not always sure how to deal with that particular topic. And I guess I wouldn't need to, other than I get frustrated with it. I get frustrated when I communicate a message and large numbers of people don't get it, because I'm trying to be very, very particular in my communication, in the way that I phrase and relay information. Another reason I get really, like, one of my big pet peeves, people have caught this, I don't like being paraphrased. Right? Because I'll make a extremely specific statement and someone will paraphrase it and it loses its meaning. Right? Training with Coach on in the background. Good morning, Coach. No coffee? No working, right? What do you mean? Hey, Cog, I don't understand the question. Please ask it a different way. No coffee, no working. Cool. So what does that mean exactly? I don't understand this no coffee thing. What are you talking about? No coffee. That sounds like hell. We don't do this no coffee reality. Like, I don't exist in that universe. So I don't really understand that concept. What are we talking about? Now, I've done short periods of time where I weaned myself off coffee. I felt like I needed it for sleep, but it just didn't work out. How the concept is, oh yeah, dude, we gotta have coffee. Right? Coach is flummoxed. That's right. Coach is like, what are you talking about? Right? I mean, this is what Coach would say. Well, it's too long. The last line has to be posted separate. Right? The Facebook people might be like, what is he typing? What did we miss? I mean, post the same thing in Facebook. Like, almost no one's into Facebook when I do it. It's very strange lately. Then it gets views later. And then it makes money later. Oh no. Poor Shane came through my thing yesterday and he's like, trying to message you about something, but you have your DMs turned off. And I don't know how to tell him he has his DMs turned off on his page. And he's on my friends list and doesn't realize he's on my friends list with his personal profile, and he could have DM'd me. Yeah. Like, no, my DMs are on my page. I get DMs every single day. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Oh my gosh. Mhm. Boy, the Cassidy Campbell thread sure got some interesting comments. It's always fascinating. It's like so many people will go see the hate stuff or the hate documentaries about me and have no clue what I actually do. It's really interesting. You know, it's really interesting. We're at a point now to where the AI is getting good enough. I've now seen AI stuff done on me that things I didn't even say at all, let alone rechopped or remixed. We're now at that level. Like I've now seen actual real cases of it. Where people have used AI to simply create my voice. We're in a whole new world there. Because I listened to one of them, I had one that got sent to me. I'm like, oh wow, it actually kind of sounds like me. It's passable, right? So yeah, the world we are in, we can no longer believe any quotes of like recorded things that people are saying. We're now at that point. I don't know how we're going to deal with that as a society. Right? How are we going to deal with that as a society when we're now at a point where people literally just use AI to take your voice to make you say whatever they want you to say? We already have enough problems with satire and parody and nonsense online that people get so detached from reality. Um, but now we're at a point where people can just take AI and make whatever they want. Right? They just make whatever public figure or politician or actor say anything they want them to say. Right? Hey, Dole, you would already know if he responded. I mean, no offense intended, but did you see him respond? You know? In fact, it would be in a video title. You'd already see it in a live stream for me. Cassidy Campbell accepted the offer, right? It'd probably be in the coffee chat title. That would be news based upon, the thing. All right, just saying. Like you would already know, my friend. I don't know, man. I don't know how to help you short guys, dude. I don't know why you want advice on that. Next, you're gonna ask me how to help with your short dick. I don't know, man. Get a bigger dick. I don't know. Quit being short. Like you may want to go find a short guy to ask that to, who gets lots of girls. I'm not gonna be able to help you, dude. Yeah. What what I can tell you is what comes up every time these topics happen. The fact that you are insecure about you being short, there's nothing that can be done. Because you're insecure about it, that's it. You're screwed. Anything you're insecure about is automatic. You're done. You're over. You're cooked. I don't care what it happens to be. Anything that you're insecure about, enough that you think it's going to affect your ability to get girls, automatically ensures beyond a shadow of a doubt that it will prevent you from getting girls. And it's not I don't ever let you guys know why would I tell the public any of my real insecurities? Think about that for a minute, though. Man, what a powerful tool to give haters and enemies. You know what I mean, dude? So if I give you an answer, it will be a lie. Intentionally so. Let's see. I'm insecure about being bald. There we go. Then you can give people things to fix. They don't always lie about stuff like that. Man, I got to teach you guys basic rules. Why would you ever tell other people your insecurities outside of a therapist, like in a safe setting, where they're sworn to secrecy by law? It'll crack me up, man. Oh, Lord. Damn, guys, come on. Do better. Why would you do that? But as far as helping Hendrick go, I mean, that's it, dude. The fact that you think it's a problem means you're insecure about it, and that's it. You're cooked. You just got to be single the rest of your life until you get unsecure about it, and then you'll get lots of girls. Right? Done. Probably the number one key to getting women: don't display any insecurities. That's it. That's like top of the list, man. They can smell it. They can smell it on you. It's pretty much a poison. Right? I got to get some more coffee though. Yeah, what about when they tell you to open up? No, they want you to open up. So that's your next problem. The inability to open up is an insecurity. And I'm not telling you a girl you just met today, you need to break down and cry about your dead kitten or something in front of her. It's not what I'm saying. But yeah, once you're in a relationship, if you can't open up to a woman, it's going to hurt you too. Well, they want you to open up. Like what's difficult to understand about this? Man, some of the questions I get in here, I now see why dudes have so many problems. Like why we have the first generation ever in the history of the human race that struggles with getting girls. Like this is unprecedented. Like this is unprecedented. No generation in the entire history of humanity has ever struggled to get girls. Like again, let me be clear. This is a new phenomenon. Like again, completely unprecedented. So, no, they don't. They don't at all. It's in your mind that they do. A few handful of single women who can't get a man have those insane standards. And they don't really have those standards. Again, this is a red pill delusion. The idea that women really have those standards is a red pill delusion. The moment she meets a guy who she likes and is attracted to, it'll all just disappear, right? It just goes away instantly, all of that. If you guys just stopped using dating apps, you wouldn't even be aware of these fake standards. You wouldn't even be aware of them. You just get off the dating apps. That's your problem. Dating apps are a cancer for losers. That's an auto ban term, Hendra. I've banned you over 100 times now. No, they're not the norm. Dating apps are the norm for losers who can't get girls. That's it. Nobody else uses them. So by default, if you're on a dating app, you're as the French say, sans pitié. In the famous words of a pimp named Slickback. As the French say, sans pitié. All right. So, this is your problem. Like, I can't help you. If you're already at the point of using dating apps, you're probably beyond help, man. I don't know what to do. I've already explained to you guys, just learn to talk to women. Talk to women everywhere you go. Stop using dating apps. They're not the norm. They're the norm for dudes who can't talk to women. Your solution is to be a guy who can talk to women. Done. And the Irish head coach, how's it going today? I'm scoring, man. Coach is waking up. Got that coffee flowing. Got my coffee in that cup, bro. All right. Got that coffee in the cup. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Jared told you, get out of me to grow. No, I will never bring back the firearm channel in any time in the foreseeable future. It's unmonetized, by the way, now. Like, why would I bother? It has lost its monetization. One. Number two, I don't want to film any content where I'm out doing stuff like that. So unless I'm sitting here in front of my computer holding guns and talking to you about guns, that's all you get. Because that then becomes my personal life. Where I go when I leave my house becomes my personal life. That's off limits for the internet. So no. But to be fair, at least that question doesn't get asked every day. So, yeah. What do you mean too busy? I mean, I'm on social media all day running another business. No, everything I do makes money. Like, I'm sitting in here collecting ad revenue and chatting with you people and picking up consultations and clients in 2 different platforms right now. Like, so why would I go do gun channel stuff and get myself further canceled when I can be sitting in 2 monetized platforms concurrently, getting ad revenue, getting donations, getting stars, and picking up clients? That just doesn't make any sense. I'm too busy doing live streams, but it's nothing to do with that, Manny. It has to do with the fact that there is no money in it right now, and it puts up too much of my personal life. Like, that's very straightforward. So let's not change it to other nonsense, because you sound trolly. Like, let's not change it to other nonsense. Let's make it what it's really about. I don't do free stuff on the internet, man. I don't, I am running a business and I have an 80-hour work week. Do you like Mexican food? I don't understand it. Why wouldn't we like Mexican food? Of course we do. That's come up repeatedly. I don't know. That's almost like a broken record type thing, man. We over to, hey coach, we know that you've said 1,000 times in live streams you like Mexican food. Like, who doesn't like Mexican food? So there's a better question, man. Have you ever met anyone who doesn't like Mexican food? I mean, this counts as part of my work week. So if I'm in here for 3 hours, 4 hours this morning, and I'm in both streams and I'm posting on social media and typing to clients, this is work. Like, this is part of my work week. This is working. Training's working. This is all business, right? And someone asked me the other day, how many income streams do you have? I'm like, 8. Right? If YouTube is one, for example, Facebook's another. Actually, technically 2 Facebooks because they're separate. Right? Like Instagram is monetized. We have a coaching business. We have the consultations, so on and so forth. It's all work. Work, work, work. Post there. Facebook is a little slow. At least we got people in here. Nobody's in Facebook yet. Hey, band. I'm going to give this rule again. I'm going to sound like a broken record. Anybody who believes in black pill, you need to cut them out of your life, block them. If you have friends who are black pilled, you need to block them. If you're dating a girl who's black pilled, you need to break up with her and block her. And I do mean that. Anyone who follows any black pill content is an absolute cancer. You need to block them on social media, take them off your friends list, block them on your phone, get them out of your life immediately. If it's your dad, you have to block your own dad till he stops that BS. Get rid of it. It is the single most cancerous, life-destroying, you're going to kill yourself content in existence. You have to run from it. It is an absolute cancer. Like, everyone who buys into it becomes the most depressing, useless people you'll ever meet for the rest of your life. Like, just cut them out like a cancer. Beautiful. Don't bother. Exactly. So how about you don't go there? No. In short, black pill are people who are so bought into conspiracy theories that they just give up on life because the Illuminati are going to kill everybody or whatever. Israel's going to just enslave everybody or whatever their crazy conspiracy theories are. The people who take it so extreme that there's no hope. And it's called the black pill. It's people who buy into conspiracy theories to the point to where they feel there's no hope or future for humanity and we're completely doomed. I've had to cut people out of my real life over the black pill. Anyway, it's getting hot in here. Right. And I do mean that. Like, everyone who goes too far into the black pill ends up quitting their jobs, losing their careers, having to be on psychiatric help for it. No, I will cut. What do you mean? I'm going to have to cut them out anyways. They're going to quit their job. They're not going to be able to stay on as a client because when they lose all hope for the future, they just quit their job. They're not going to be able to stay on as a client. Why bother to work out? Like, what's the point? So the entire philosophy is a cancer. I mean, yeah, that would be getting black pilled. Well, if the genetics is there's no point. If I can't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, why bother? Exactly. But usually the black pill are always conspiracy theorist people too. That's usually the case. Yeah, you can't have them in. I block people for black pill. I actually block them in here because they're a cancer. They're just an absolute cancer. Like, I've had to cut someone out of my life. I don't know what that means, band. I know you're a paying member, but you kind of weird, home skillet. You know, I've had to break up with a girl over her being black pilled, by the way. Like, so when I say that, I do practice what I preach. I have broken up with a girl for being black pilled and using the term black pilled. I have literally broken up with a girl over it. There's your context. Diesel Viper says, so how would you go about making sure underground live stuff is legit and clean? You're going to have to, I'm not going to discuss that actually, Diesel, not in public. That is absolutely not a public conversation. Because I'm now telling you advice on how to commit felonies and not doing it. Beyond, you don't know how to tell. So the person talks about conspiracy theories all the time will usually be the dead giveaway. They're convinced that there's going to be a global depopulation. People who sit around obsessing that Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, or Bill Gates wants to kill 80% of humanity and is going to take over everything, or they get excessive about that the COVID vaccines were a depopulation agenda. These are signs that someone's black pill. Right? Like, these are like when people's conspiracy theories get to the point to where it affects their ability to function. Right? It starts affecting their work. It starts affecting their careers. This is a sign. But in general, anyone who believes any of that crap, you've got to get rid of them. Right? They're already on the verge of being too far gone. You just need to cut them out of your life. Trust me on this. You're going to be a lot better. It's a modern form of nihilism, really. I'm not saying everyone who believes in conspiracies, but when they're at that point to where they go down that crazy level, yeah, they're pretty much black pill. Just cut them out of your life. All right? You'll be happier. Your life will be more productive. You'll be better. There is no pending applications, EJ. I just said I would consider different people. But EJ, you're not even a channel member, man. Come on, bro. Like, that's not even up for consideration. I'm not being mean, but I've only even considered people who were long-term channel members. All right. So there you go, Beyond. So there's your dead giveaways, man. Like, if you want to know if someone's probably too black pill to keep in your life, as soon as they start in with crazy stuff like, Bill Gates is buying all the farmland and he's going to kill off 80% of the population. Right? Hey, Beyond, how about I'm not going to entertain nonsense with mods. Like, it's a thing I'm just trying out. Yeah, anybody has a pessimism. Exactly, man. You got to get rid of them. because sometimes we do get really busy in here. Plus, they can keep an eye on stuff though when I go take breaks. Like I have to bring in stuff, I have deliveries happening, I bathroom stuff, whatever, coffee, things I have to go check on. It allows them to watch stuff when I get up and go. And these have been picking up, and they may pick up and blow up again. In which case, it will come in handy. All right. Yeah, so I don't know why all these people think I need more mods. So that's the valid question. It's not busy enough that we need a bunch of mods. So which, by the way, Dole, just be aware. I know that you made your account yesterday, so we are watching you. And no, when you say, "Oh, just making a new account is against the rules," no, but it just makes you suspect. Because no one who watches my channel just made their account yesterday or last week or today, right? It's a dead giveaway, right? If your YouTube account is less than a week old and you know all about me, it's almost just auto ban. Like you're borderline just hit the button at that point. How do you know stuff about me? For being basically someone who's been previously banned multiple times. It's like just it's an automatic tell. Like I already know. I just am usually waiting for you to slip. Just saying. It means you're someone who's been banned 20 times or 100 times already. Is a general rule, like 90% chance, and it is truly a 90% guess, like accurate, if not 99%. Yeah, because I have one guy who makes accounts every single day, 7 days a week, and then likes to slip in, and I ban him over and over and over. Banned, I'll coach your ex girlfriend. I'll coach your mom, bro. What's up? Now think about the silliness of the question. Wouldn't it depend upon the nature of the friendship and relationship after? I mean, that's a silly question. You know? So there's too much nuance to a question like that. Would you coach an ex girlfriend? Or would you, as someone in your profession, have a client who is an ex girlfriend? Well, I guess it would depend upon the nature of the relationship, wouldn't it? Right? And I guess it would depend upon the nature of what's going on with your current situation. What if you have a wife who doesn't like it? You would have to double check and see how your current significant other even feels about you engaging professionally with an ex, wouldn't you? So there's a lot of nuance to all that, isn't it? Right? I have exes who I'm on speaking terms with, and I have exes who I will never speak to again. They're not welcome to contact me. So, you know, just how it works, dude. Well, you coach a friend's ex girlfriend if they were cool with it, but I can't see them having an issue with it. Like, they're like, bro, that's my money. I mean, we're homies, but you know, your ex wants me to coach you. I'd probably run it by them though, just out of basic respect. Right? You know, just out of basic respect for the bro code. But at the end of the day, man, your money is your money. Has to go. Channel member or not, man. Yeah. All right, I need more coffee. Good morning. How you doing, Wallen? I was up getting some coffee, bro. Good morning. I'm on the tubes also. Most of my traffic's in there. The Facebooks aren't getting a whole lot of traffic. Yeah, man. We don't put up with nonsense in here. What else we have going on, guys? Any reason you don't like out on my road press? Same reason I don't fly to the moon. So, Cog, that's a topic of repeat conversation. Like, I am working really, really, really hard on restoring the physical ability to do it, but I can't even lock out an empty broomstick. I can't even lock my arms out with no weight into the lockout position. I've been working diligently on restoring that for a couple of years. And one day I hope with enough work that I will be able to lock out my overhead press again. We have hours and hours of content dedicated specifically to that topic. So, like, and it's okay. You're probably new to a lot of it and don't watch all the old vlogs, and I get that. You're not a super long term follower, so you didn't know that. You know, you're barely new in here. So the reason is I physically can't. I recommend doing what works for you on the overhead press. I think we can go a couple different directions, honestly. I think most people end up being stronger. Hey, Dole, the list would take all day. I've generally found anything physical therapists recommend is completely useless for it. Just 100% useless. Any form of stretching, completely useless. The only stuff I've found so far that helps is doing dynamic type movements to get my arms over my head, pullovers, pull-ups, right? But the list of mobility exercises would be a mile long that I've tried. Like I've tried tons of stuff for a month straight. I've seen physical therapists recommend things. I've had people with master's degrees and stuff in physical therapy message me seeing it and give me exercises and advice for free because they're fans. None of it works. So, I mean, I've done like probably 20 different exercises, some of them a month straight. But I took the overhead presses out again this week because now they're getting to where they're causing pain. Like me getting to almost that lockout. I've noticed that's now getting to the point where it is finally causing shoulder pain. And it's like, this isn't good. So I'm going to back off on them and just work on other stuff. Yeah, once I got to where I was doing 100 pounds or more again, it started to get painful the next day. Like sharp pains. So it's like, okay, it's a problem. Well, the rotator cuff is not a specific thing. You need to be specific. You have 4 completely different rotator cuffs with different functions. So, but I don't think that actually is the issue because that's not what would cause that, right? Makes sense. So again, we're back over to you haven't done enough research to make that statement. I've spent a lot of time researching this and assessing my stuff, right? I've spent a pretty large amount of time videoing myself doing hangs and arm raises and stuff and analyzing my own footage privately. Researching. Like I've put a lot of work into that. It's not just a minor guess. Like I've probably dedicated 100 hours of my life to researching this. Hey, Cog, I'm kind of honestly, to be fair, can I just get bothering to answer that again? No offense intended, but I kind of get tired of discussing that. Is that fair? Because it's like a new person every day asking it. Oh, don't have overuse. It started when I had overuse from doing 100 chin-ups a day. That's when it started. Don't do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of chin-ups a week and pull-ups. I had 0 problems prior to that. And when it finally impinged, it was using neutral grip, right? And it was in both sides the same day. No, I don't think it's the rotator cuff. But Dole, you see what I mean? You're just making assumptions. Like the fact that you said the rotator cuff tells me you haven't done any research on this. You're just making it up as you go. Is that fair? The rotator cuff is not a thing. Now, as you said, I think that you may have permanently severed your infraspinatus on both sides and then give your reason why. That would be a conversation. But the rotator cuff is not a thing. There is no such thing as the rotator cuff. There are 4 different muscles with completely different functions in different parts of the shoulder that is referred to as rotator cuff, right? Hey, Cog, can we please move on? The answer is obviously yes. Right. So you're going to go down the road. Hey, have you tried this? And we're going to be here for 2 hours discussing everything I've tried. everything you can possibly think of. I would be like, yeah, dude, I've done all that on camera. You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, never mind. Then you're going to feel bad. Yeah, dude, I've done tons of van pull aparts for you guys watching. You know? Yeah. Makes sense? So can we go? Let's talk about something besides my shoulder. Because otherwise I'm just going to get frustrated and angry, and that's not helpful to anybody in the chat. You know what I mean? That's not useful to anybody if I just get pissed off and irritated about it. So what studies they didn't, right? Hey, Alan, why would you think that there were any studies involved in that? Although in theory, I suppose if you believe in Dr. Brad's bullshit, you might fall into that. Oh yeah, dude, do 50 sets a week, man. Maximize hypertrophy, all that crazy nonsense. I suppose if you were going to use studies, you could look at some of that. But no, it wasn't based on studies. It was based on other people doing some of it and having some good success and saying, that sounds extreme. I like to do my extreme stuff. Let's try it. Think about how bad I was overtraining already at the time. My training volumes were absolutely through the roof at that time period. Like I was using probably the highest volumes of training in general I've ever used in my life because I felt like doing it. I wanted to push the limits of training volumes. All right. So I was lifting for 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. What's the most? I mean, I was doing 100 plus every single day, 7 days a week. You should coach DSP now that he's getting buff. I don't know who that is. Though, keep in mind, I already know you're a troll. So just pointing that out. You just made this account yesterday. It means I've already banned you multiple times. So just be aware. So who is DSP? Now, Soap Fund, is your name Dull? I was specifically talking to Dull. Okay. So has DSP expressed an interest in me coaching him? So did he say in one of his streams, I'm thinking about hiring Jason Blaha to coach me? So DSP said that he's considering hiring me. Well, he needs to reach out to me then. So if he said in a stream that he's thinking about hiring me to coach him, I can't coach him unless he reaches out and applies. So the ball's in his court. Lycanthro page says, is traditional dynamic effort best for combat sport athletes or full body power movements like power cleans? Man, we could argue that point until we're blue in the face. I think we could go both routes successfully with combat sport athletes with great success. I've seen high level combat sport athletes have great success with both approaches. So I guess it comes down to what school of thought you want to coach them from ultimately. Louis Simmons would tell you they need to be doing dynamic work against bands. Christian Thibodeau would tell you they need to be doing cleans and snatches, right? So it's going to come down to what you're looking at then in terms of coaching style and philosophy, or figuring out what works best for that particular athlete's mindset. Yes, I own captains of crunch grippers. I don't find them particularly useful. I've never found them to have any grip carryover to anything I do. But I own several captains of crunch grippers. True, what's good for the goose isn't always good for the gander, right? Hmm. Right. I've definitely never found grippers to be helpful for my deadlift. Right. Um, Ken says it's good to train heavy for bodybuilding on alternate days, weeks. What do you mean alternate days, weeks? Yeah, I mean, your question's a little bit vague, brother. Heavy is a very relative term, and there's a lot of nuance to think about with individual programming. Like second, well, I don't know anything about the rest of your programming. So, are you needing custom programming? So, what's going on here? Because I don't know what your second push day of the week is. Like, what's your programming look like? And when you say bodybuilding, I assume you compete, and I assume you're on heavy doses of drugs. Otherwise, you're not probably bodybuilding. I'm not a bodybuilder, by the way. I do coach some bodybuilders, but I am not a bodybuilder. So you're not technically bodybuilding. Okay. If you don't get on a stage, you're not a bodybuilder per se. Um, I generally promote starting every workout heavy, unless you're doing conjugate and you're doing dynamic work to start. What intensity should the majority of your volume on the main lifts be? What sort of programming are we running? Are we running high specificity programming, or are you running something like conjugate? Hangman. Unless I know what sort of programming approach we're utilizing, I can't answer that question. High frequency top set, which intensity should the majority of your volume? So on the main lifts, well, how much are we relying on supplemental work? Are we using the main lifts for hypertrophy also, or are you using um, supplemental work to do most of your hypertrophy? So the answer is going to be completely based upon the latter. So if you're using the main list for hypertrophy, you're going to need to do a lot of work between 60 and 80%. If you're using them for strength carryover, you want most of your work to be above 85%. And especially if you're using secondary exercises to build most of the size. right? And in some cases, you literally might only be doing singles and then speed work and then assistance. So if you're doing conjugate, your main lifts are at 1 rep max, they're at 100%. Other than the dynamic work, which is going to be closer to 50, but then you're doing lots of bodybuilding style hypertrophy work to build everything. So again, there's a lot of nuance to this. Yeah, there you go. But again, if you're trying to maximize strength, you're still going to need work above 90%, but you're not going to be able to do a lot of it. Like one set. So even in my case, you'll see me do stuff like that, one set. Or I might do it 3 times a week. All right. But even like, let's say benching, like you'll see me come in and do stuff like 325 for a heavy set and then do back down work with 275, or even I'm trying to get to 20 reps at 225 right now. I'm up to 19. But I'm only going to test that like once a week, maybe right now. Can't quite get 20 pause reps. I'm struggling to lock out on 19. So it depends on what you're trying to do. It depends on how much supplemental and accessory work you're doing. So then people say, well, what do you have your clients do? And it's like, well, depends on the client. I have clients who do different approaches. I have everything from conjugate up to people who do just full body with minimalism, and everything in between. Right? I literally have both extremes right now in clients. So Ted, who you guys see, for example, some of the clients you guys see. So Ted and Alex, for example, right? Alex does minimalism and full body. Yeah, Ryan, who comes through here all the time, right? Ryan's at almost 100 pounds of weight loss. We bench 315, deadlift to 470. He's down 100 pounds body weight. He does full body 3 days a week, whereas Ted does conjugate all the way up to and including with band work sometimes. So it varies depending on what we're doing here, guys. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. What do you mean decommissioned? I don't understand the question. Because I'm currently not doing them doesn't mean they're decommissioned. That's right. Hangman Spark called me a pet. like a pimp named Sleepback. So Like and Drip says, what would you personally recommend if you were training in a combat sport? Would you incorporate speed work as well as power cleans in the same workout? I generally have most of my combat athletes do conjugate. Now, I have had a client who didn't want to do conjugate do cleans and snatches. All right. She likes to focus on the classic lifts. So for her boxing purposes, we did cleans and snatches. But most of my like BJJ people and stuff, we're usually doing conjugate with speed work and not bothering with snatches or cleans or any of that. And especially with doing virtual coaching, I don't have clients do the Olympic lifts or variations of them who don't already do them. I want them to be proficient already because I can't teach you those things online. So if they're not already familiar with them, I'm not going to have a virtual client even mess with it. But if they're proficient with them and they don't want to do conjugate, I'll tend to do that. Because they do need explosive training. Same thing, having them do extra plyometric work and stuff. Throws, jumps, throws. I mean, you see me do jumps and throws, right? And I'm not even a combat athlete. I care less about fighting these days. I'm proficient in Glock fu. All right. Who would win in a cage match between Matthias and Ted? That's kind of a silly question. Which, by the way, Dole, you just made this account yesterday and you know all about all the different clients. My spidey senses are tingling. I'm just going to ban you by default. Just get out of here. Sorry, man. You're setting off my spidey sense. Who would win in a plug off? What's a plug off mean? Is Anatoly a real power lifter? How do you want me to answer that question? Are you asking me, is he legitimately strong, like it's being shown in the satire? Or are you asking me, has he competed in powerlifting meets? So what specifically are you asking me with that? Because they're two very different. I'm going to give you two completely different answers. So here's the problem with the whole Matthias versus Ted thing. Ted is actually trained in multiple fighting sports. Matthias is not. Does that change your answer? Yes, Anatoly has competed multiple times in powerlifting. He has deadlifted 450 pounds on the platform before. I think 451 is his lifetime best in competition. He's benched in the high 200s. So, yes, he is a real power lifter. He's done multiple powerlifting meets a number of years back, but he's never deadlifted 500 plus pounds in a competition. So, Ted deadlifts more than Matthias. Matthias squats a little more than Ted. Matthias probably benches a hair more. He's about 20 pounds heavier, but Ted deadlifts more. Ted does more on weighted chin ups, more on overhead press, and actually is trained in multiple fighting styles. Matthias is not a trained fighter. So who wins now in your scenario? Um, one is a trained fighter, the other is not. What are the biggest differences before and after TRT? I mean, you could do basic research on this. What are we looking for, Mike? Definitely the biggest difference is going to be your mood, your drive, your motivation is going to go up. Your penis will start working again. Like if you've had erectile issues, that'll usually correct itself, so on and so forth. You'd probably lose a little body fat. Definitely your well-being and confidence, and your motivation will go up. A lot of times, if you've been suffering depression from your low testosterone, that'll start easing up. So those are usually your biggest changes when you go on TRT. But definitely the mental side, especially if you've had low energy, depression, and all those things. Well, I can't help you there, Mike. Um, what country are you in? Because if you're not in America, I can't really give you any advice at all on this. Like I can't. So in the U.S., you could simply go to a T clinic then and discuss it further, rather than your regular endo or GP. But if you're abroad, I have no advice. I can't tell you anything about the different systems. Like it's outside of my wheelhouse. So relevant to the conversation. Yeah, I don't know. I have nothing to help you in any way on that topic then. All right. Because I don't know the medical culture there around it. So I am of no value to you at all on this topic, unfortunately. Um, yeah. So yeah, guys, talking about someone like Matthias versus Ted is kind of silly because fairly close strength levels, depending on lift to lift, but one of them is actually trained in multiple fighting styles, and the other is not a martial artist or fighter. Like this is kind of a no brainer, guys. Someone who's a trained fighter wins. If this, particularly when the strength levels are fairly matched, like this is there's no contest. You know, right? I mean, this would be different if one of them was dramatically stronger. If some guy deadlifts 700 and another guy only deadlifts 315, we could start making a case for, well, one of them is trained and the other isn't, but he's just going to just destroy him just because he's going to grab him and shake him. But, Ted deadlifts over 500 pounds and so on. He can overhead press over 200 strict press. You know, whoever has the most weapons, exactly. And that's the other thing too. People get obsessed over the fighting like it's useful. And I think people forget most of my followers on all my platforms are in the US. We're an armed society. All right. You train with weapons for self-defense on the street. Like fighting is useful in a ring. It's not useful out on the streets. Bench 315 at 180 is just good. I'm a power builder. Yeah, 315 at 180 is great, actually. Mike, I'd say that's fantastic. But people have these strange attitudes, don't they, Alan? So that'll come up on my Facebook. Oh, how can you say that? Or, because I'm just like, guys, I carry. And it's like, that's just a cop out. Just because you have guns. And I'm like, no, it's not just because I have guns. I have extensive training because I actually care about self-defense, right? And people lose sight of that. Like, no, people who actually care about self-defense train with the weapons that they carry for self-defense. You don't go take martial arts, you take fighting classes. And I think non-Americans don't understand that either, that in America, those of us who carry, we can take fighting classes. Just like you go take a BJJ class or a boxing class, we have combat handgun classes. You can take classes that teach you how to grapple and fight with your handgun on the ground, how to retain your weapon if someone is grappling you or someone's kicking you on the ground, how you stay in the fight during entanglement. Like these are their own fighting systems, and you can take classes on this stuff. So no, it's not just because I'm actually, if you guys have seen me shoot, I'm more than respectable. I don't want to say, oh, I'm the best in the world, but I'm competitive. Well, draw time matters. Initial shot placement matters. Situational awareness matters. No, I've never coached anyone who trains in that style. But no, I'm not. I'm just not interested in doing a bunch of martial arts at this point. I did martial arts growing up. It has no practical value to me. No, beyond belief. Not necessarily. You fight it out in court. Beyond. So it depends on where you live, but think about the sort of places you're going to see coach living in. So beyond, I guess my first question, are you American? Because I can't explain cultures and laws if you don't understand the basic fundamentals here. What country do you live in? And if you say US, what state do you live in? So I need a cultural context to even be able to answer that question. Your body is pretty good. People forget bodybuilding is an illusion. I mean, I've been to events and I pretty much mobbed most of the influencers I've met out there. They're pretty small. Yeah, bodybuilding is largely illusion, and I don't illusion very well. But I'm not a bodybuilder either. All right. So no, beyond that's not excessive. Someone's attacking you out on the street. Where I live, yeah. I mean, you may have to hire a lawyer, but you're asking, am I going to win in court? Probably. No, you don't know U.S. laws. There are no U.S. laws. Beyond, there are no U.S. laws on this. So where do you live? So I don't think you're American, or you wouldn't have said that. What country do you live in? This was a very easy question. I don't know why you're struggling with that question. What country do you live in? So that I can explain this to you in a context you will understand. Where do you live? Right. Because you said you know US laws, so that kind of, I don't think you're American based on what you wrote. So where do you live? Very straightforward. There are no United States laws on local use of force in self-defense at all. None. So this is what you're not understanding. The US government doesn't regulate this. Ted would destroy vegan games in an MMA match. I feel like a lot of non-Americans don't understand how U.S. laws are laid out. They don't understand the situation because you guys are so used to your country being in charge of everything. Okay, you live in Europe. Okay, so beyond. There are no laws on self-defense in the United States. The U.S. government doesn't care. They only care about you shooting federal agents, crossing state line. Does this make sense? There's no citizen on citizen concerns. This is not their domain. Okay. You probably live in a country to where your government, the national government, regulates these things. That's not how it works here. We're basically 50 countries. Okay. So if I cross a state line, I am in almost a different country with completely different weapon laws and self-defense and use of force laws. The individual states regulate this. Okay, so do you understand now? Think of it as Germany versus Belgium has completely different laws on this. Good morning, Lacey. How you doing? Right? I live in both a stand your ground and a castle law state. I live in a place that has very, very loose use of force laws. If you're in my front yard, I can draw down and threaten deadly force to make you leave. And I will not be arrested. I won't even have a problem with the police from doing it. So there's part of your context. If you are in my front yard and I tell you to leave and you don't, I can take out a weapon and threaten deadly force and brandish and point it at you without even breaking a law. Like, this is no problem at all. So I'm giving you a context for where I live. That is specifically written in the law as allowed. Not even, it actually says in the laws that you can do this. It is in writing that you may brandish a weapon or firearm and threaten deadly force to persuade a trespasser to leave. That's almost the exact wording. Okay. So yes, if someone is out assaulting me on the street, I can smoke them. I'm going to have a lawyer at that point, but I can't do it. The odds are in my favor of not getting into trouble. So in other words, don't run around being a violent thug hitting people. So again, your context, these are local laws, right? Whether you live in California versus Texas versus Montana determines what laws you live under. Right? But you're just talking about firearms. How about blades? Where I live, we carry swords and bowie knives legally too. I usually carry a pretty big blade as backup in addition. So the same thing. Um, right? What if your weapon malfunctions? What if you run out of ammo? All back to your knife. But the same thing here, guys. So yeah, you can absolutely, of course, it's a figure. COD, is that a serious question? You're going to fight with a bowling blade? You lost your mind? I'm not being mean, but bro, think that through for a moment. No, dude, you're not. You're not using a clasp knife to defend yourself. You're asking for trouble, man. Yes, you want a full blade, a fixed blade with a full tang. Guys, come on. Good Lord. You guys got to be trolling me with some of this. Man. I mean, I have a few different knives. I'll show you what I usually carry. Right. So this is usually what I carry in addition for backup. It's a belt knife. It's just an SOG. So, and the point here is this is desirable. You don't want violent thugs out assaulting people on the street, right? The world is a better place. Why not use a non-lethal weapon? What a silly ass question. Somebody is attacking you, Cog. Damn. Wow. Somebody is assaulting you and you're worried about non-lethal. Damn. I just can't. Wow. No, the world's a better place with them gone. So look, if people are out here assaulting other people out on the street and everyone who does that just dies, the world is automatically a better place next week. The world is literally better off if those people are just gone. Done. This is not a difficult concept. All right. Don't assault people. Don't be out on the street assaulting and robbing and harming people. And if everybody just smokes everyone who does that, the world is automatically a better place. Less violent thugs. Everybody wins. kind of comes back to the point I make on these topics. If we simply get rid of all the drugs and the alcohol and all of our substance abuse problems, half of this violence, most of it goes away, right? Actually wage the war on drugs correctly, use the military, execute drug dealers. Then we have the conversation about alcohol next. All these addictions go away. Most of this violent crime is gone. There's your solutions. But again, these totally cut cultures, you know, non-lethal laws. You can't do. It's like what your cultures and your ways of life have been completely cucked into submission. This is why Americans don't always get along with people in other cultures, because we're just like, wow. Your cultures and societies have been cucked into submission. It's scary. You're slaves, like you've been turned into slaves. You're peasants. This is sad. What happened? You know. By the way, I ban people for gun control talk. That is a big pet peeve for me. So you may want. I'm going to be real nice beyond belief, but that is. Lars found out. That's what I banned Lars for. He asked me to come back. I let him come back. But I am. That is my one political topic I really care about a lot. I am insanely pro Second Amendment, like militantly, aggressively so. I'm not super political on most other topics. Like I'm not. I don't hold that same level. But that is my one. I will throw you out of my house as a guest, and I have. Like physically remove you from my home, get out of my house. Like I just don't put up with it. So just an FYI. Just how I feel. We all have our things, man. Okay. Cog, that's fair. I get you don't understand, so I'm going to be very polite. Let me step back. I carry a gun every time I leave my house. Okay? No exceptions. When I jog, I have a piece on. So when you see me do my running vlogs, I am strapped. Okay? And so is everyone. All my friends are. My entire circle. Every one of my friends does the same thing. Like all my bros. I should more, but it's the way it is. Right? Just have it. Once you're used to it, you're just used to it, Lacey. Just put your piece on and go. It becomes like tying your shoes. You know, you tie your shoes, don't you? Put your EDC on. It's very straightforward. You guys, it's just a habit. Once you're in the habit, you're in the habit. You know. Doesn't work well with leggings. What about your purse? You know, purse piece. Lacey, I'm disappointed. What sort of lady doesn't have a purse gun? Lacey, I'm gonna scold you now. Lacey, what sort of lady doesn't have a purse gun? All right. No Coggett, absolutely. Wow. Again, how cucked of a the mindset. Wow. Your ego at play has nothing to do with that. Wow. For me, who and the culture and mindset I have, to me, that's like fascinating to read. It's like, wow. You really think it has anything to do with ego or feeling strong? Oh, I deadlift to feel strong. No, man, I think your 70-year-old grandma should carry a piece. It has to do with strength. It's your basic duty as a citizen. So, as a male, as a man, it's your basic duty. You have a basic moral obligation. All right. A desert eagle, I wouldn't. Desert eagle, no, I'm not a fan. Not really a desert eagle fan. Too much Hollywood there. I put together a holster kit. I mean, I've got a couple different holsters and setups. It's not just a fanny pack. Depends on what I'm wearing. Really, it's outfit dependent. All right. Alan says, I think most cultures outside the U.S. equate carrying guns with feeling afraid or unsafe. Right, right. And I think it's a cultural difference. They don't actually understand the mindset at all. Whereas for a lot of us, it's basic obligation, right? Better safe than sorry. But also the moral obligation, your duty as a citizen to protect your community, protect the grocery store, your neighbors when you're out doing things, right? Just a basic duty as a man. Revolvers are very underrated. How so? You talk about the people. If you happen to be there and you are proficient, you carry and you have training, yes, you have a moral obligation to protect innocent bystanders and women and children around you. This is your basic obligation as a man. Why are revolvers underrated? I am an expert, so I'm asking you to explain. Do you see me carrying a revolver? I've owned revolvers. Do you see me carrying one? No, Cog, I'm not out here dealing with shoplifters. That's potentially a problem. That's problematic legally for me to go harass one. I might go tell the store real quick, security, hey, that person's over there shoplifting, and then let them deal with it. Have I had to approach a shoplifter when I did work in sales and retail at one time? as an appliance salesman, yes, I've had to approach a shoplifter who I saw steal something. I've had to do it, but as an employee, long time ago. Um, but no, but no. If there's an armed person or someone assaulting people, yes, I'm going to intervene. So Dolby, why do you feel revolvers are underrated? I think they're overrated. I get it. Some people really, I know people who love revolvers, and that's cool if that's your thing. But it's a style fashion thing. It's not definitely not a practical or the best option. You know, yeah, confronting a shoplifter, I could find myself in a situation where I have instigated a fight. That's a problem, right? That is actually a potential problem. So no, I'm not going to go confront a shoplifter. I'm not going to put myself in a situation that could turn violent or confrontational. Yes, I did. I had a 20-pound sledgehammer. I showed you guys my sledgehammer. Don't pretend I didn't show you the sledgehammer. That was for home defense. Of course, I had friends who were cops there because of the powerlifting. They're like, I don't know, you can't really use it. I'm like, well, if someone breaks in, I'll deal with the consequences later. They get in the hammer. I am smiting them with my hammer, and then I'll deal with it after the fact. Maybe they shouldn't have broke into a place of a crazy Texas born powerlifter. Maybe they should have thought twice about that. You done goofed. You saw the hammer. Don't pretend you didn't know about it. Maybe you didn't know about the hammer. A machete? What? Yeah, I think a sledgehammer is probably more effective than a machete. Push come to shove, man. Yeah, dude, a sledgehammer versus a machete. I hope you trolling. Hell, the reach alone, bro. It was a full length sledgehammer. It had like a 5 foot handle versus a little machete. Machetes are flimsy too. Like, no, bro. I think you should overthrow your government so that you guys can all have firearms again. That's what, if you weren't cucked into submission, that's what you would do. So, as an American, my mind says, why don't you just overthrow your government so you can all be armed? Have a revolution. Don't let them cuck you. Axe is a good choice too. Yeah, good fire, good wood chopping axe would work. Either one would work. Um, so that's my question. You guys, like, why aren't you armed? Why does your society allow their government to do this to you? You know? I don't get it, man. Don't start with black pill stuff, Lacey. I don't put up with black pill nonsense. You know that. Let's not go there. We're not screwed. I cut that cancer out of my life. I broke up with a girlfriend for being black pilled. like just straight up. You cut those people out of your life. Anyone who says that there's no hope, there's no future, oh, these people over here, these bad people are going to win. Block those people out of your life. Cut them out of your life. They're a cancer. Lacey, those people are a cancer. Get them out of your life. You'll be happier and better off. When people pull this no hope for the future, conspiracy theory, no hope for a future, man, those people are a cancer. I literally broke up with a girlfriend over that bullshit. Man, get those people out of your life. You don't need that black cloud. Well, but people are out there doing all the work on that. Push back. Push back. Do you have some red flags? When would you date a girl? No, I'm not dealing with any of that nonsense anymore, Cog. Cog, I'm not going to go into my personal life and all my personal red flags, but establish your own rules. We're also dealing in a situation where look at what's happening with ICE and the current policies, though, Lacey. I mean, we're deporting illegal immigrants already pretty actively. Yeah, there's people crying about it, but this tells you everything you need to know about those people. All right? So, Cog, I'm going to say the same thing I told dudes in the other streams on this. Look, if you're having dating problems, step back, make a list of what you want in a partner, make a full list, visualize it, and then ask yourself, am I the sort of man who attracts this sort of woman? If the answer is no, then build yourself into the sort of man who attracts the woman you're looking for. There's your solutions. But I'm not going to, there's some major cultural differences here already. So I don't know that a lot of my advice is going to be valuable to you for dating, based on some things you've written. So I don't know. I have a very different worldview from you. So. But I guess that would hold true for every man, right? Step back and assess those things, right? I don't know. I see a lot of stuff shifting. We have a lot of economic issues to fix in the U.S. right now. Right now, our economy is still the biggest issue. But I come back over to, again, use the military for the war on drugs. We're seeing a little bit of that with Trump. I've noticed the Dems have gotten a little upset. I've seen some stuff. They're like pissed about him using the military to hit drug trafficking so far, which there's your big solution to. Fixes a lot of our problems. Stop the flow of drugs. All right. Then we deal with a lot of the different cultural problems we have with any sort of harassment and stuff in general. The drugs, The drugs and alcohol, top of the list. Fix those things. I think there's truth to that in the UK too. I mean, how much of their problem is addiction related? I've lived there. The drugs and alcohol. But there's not really a preferred hiring for H-1B, Lacey. But I will agree, obviously, illegal immigration is a problem. And there's a push working on fixing it. And granted, there's resistance, there's blowback, but but it's only blowback from a certain niche of society, right? I forgot to post my other stuff. It would be a massive difficult event. Hey, Lacey, man, you sound almost black pilled. Like you're just like almost depressing here. I have actual hope for the future. Oh. So what are you offering as practical solutions? So you'll find for me, I don't have a lot of use for complaints. I'm a solutions based person. So you're proposing problems. What are your solutions? All right. I'm a solutions based person. If we don't have solutions, there's no point even addressing a problem. So what are we going to do about it? Chop, chop. What's the solutions? Break them down. Right? How do you fix it? I spend a lot of time breaking these things down in these streams, by the way, my different solutions to these problems in vast detail sometimes. Right. But I pointed out a lot of it, the drug issue, the drugs near the top of the list in terms of a lot of our issues we have, our social issues, economic issues. Obviously, we have to crack down on the illegal immigration, but that goes hand in hand with the drug flow because they're all tied together, aren't they? Right? As long as you have a flow of illegal traffic into the country, you've got a drug problem, right? Well, some of it we have to have the stomach for. You have to wage war on the cartels. Like it can't be a law enforcement matter. You have to use the military. You have to. So that's part of people not having the stomach for it, and we need to see a bigger call for that. So if you're going to lock down the flow of illegal stuff flowing into the country, whether it's people, whether it's drugs, whatever, that you have to use the military. You can't use local police anymore for that. It's not working. Right. This is where you have to start deploying the National Guard. This is where you have to start looking at, okay, if cartels and other stuff are doing this and shipping stuff in, we've got to hit them at the source. And that becomes a military matter. And we're seeing Trump has done some of that, by the way. It barely makes the news, but then it does because you're seeing opposition complaining about it. Right, that they feel that he's overstepping his authority. But he has done some of that. People are unaware, but he has, and it's been in the news. What would you do about alcohol? No, taxation doesn't fix problems. That's not a solution. What do you do about alcohol? At the social level, or are you talking about if I was made God Emperor of mankind? God. We've had conversations in here too, and I've seen even some Brits point out, I don't know, man, Saudi Arabia doesn't have an alcohol problem. They have a pretty brutal regime. They just execute the manufacturers. The current situation, part of the solution is to promote sobriety. You need more people discussing sobriety, pushing the idea that alcohol is a poison. Like I make tons of posts about it. I've had like 12 of my followers so far message me and say they quit drinking alcohol and are sober because of my work. I've got about 12 people so far. Right? So what you have to do is make a social push away from alcohol so that we as a society understand how bad it is and popularize sobriety. Because until you get a higher social push to deal with it, it's not going to go away. And drugs and alcohol are the number one cause of most of our violence and poverty. Let's be clear. Those are the top of the list. Illegal drugs, easy enough to deal with. You use the military. You wipe out the flow of drugs. You treat it like an actual war. War on drugs is the war that never happened. But as far as the alcohol, you have to have a social push in the other direction. Because until you get enough popularity to back it, you can't just initiate draconian enforcement. Lesser of evils. We could argue about the problems of weed, but objectively, alcohol is a bigger problem than weed, straight up across the board. Scientifically, medically, psychologically, provably worse in every way. But again, that's got to be addressed further down the list. But the hard drugs and the alcohol are the big ones. So again, it's the whole concept of pushing on the social end of it. So again, you have to use voices. You have to popularize sobriety. And everyone who understands it, like fitness people need to be at the top of the list because we know the struggles. We know how horrible it is because we read research, those of us who care about nutrition and health. So the fact there's anybody in the fitness world promoting drinking, you name and shame. Other fitness people have to name and shame those people. I do. I name and shame them on social media. I don't care if their fans get pissed. Why are they promoting alcohol on a fitness page? Right? Why are they promoting this as part of a potentially healthy lifestyle? So, well, and that's the problem, Lacey. They're self-medicating instead of fixing the problems. They're taking the black pill, boo hoo hoo, I can't fix it, cry, woe is me, bullshit. It's lazy and it's degenerate. It's lazy. It's the soft way out. And I don't have any respect for it. We fix the problems. But so again, if we talk about the alcohol, you have to have a social push of people saying this has no place in a healthy lifestyle. It's a poison. And I'm very adamant, and I say that straight up. It is a poison of the body, the mind, and the soul. Popularize sobriety. Hammer home the info we have on the cancer. Hammer home the fact that all the research that suggested moderation was healthy has been debunked. It's all been debunked. That research has all been debunked by the leading experts around the world, like it's BS. Point out that the current cancer data shows that one drink a month is enough to increase 7 types of cancer. This is pretty well documented, right? But you could still die from them, and that's the point, Cog. What does the current cancer data show? Drinking in moderation can still give you ass cancer. You're aware of that, right? Your one drink every Friday, the research shows it can still give you cancer. Absolutely. You can get cancer from that. Alcohol is the most carcinogenic thing that we consume regularly. So push that information and knowledge. Like if the average person knew the current research on that, would it affect their choices? I think it would more and more. If everybody knew that they could get colon in their ass from one drink a month, it's pretty well documented in the data and statistics, it would affect people's decisions over time, at least at the social level. And it's not a case of, oh, everything gives you cancer. No, everything doesn't give you cancer. Cigarettes and alcohol give you cancer. Junk food gives you cancer. You don't get cancer from eating chicken and rice. Hey, Cog, you're sure of that? Why are you lying in my channel? You're telling me the research doesn't say that? You're telling me the current leading cancer researchers in the world are not saying that? So why are you lying in my live stream? Why are you lying in here? That is what the current leading researchers are saying. Are you not up to speed on this? Yes, they are saying one drink a month is enough to increase the risk of cancer measurably. That's exactly the point. It sounds like so little. Hence the problem. You're aware that some of the researchers who discussed this have said they're unhappy about their own research. I've seen one of them who said, I like to drink in moderation. I am very unhappy with the statistics I'm finding. He's like, I don't like this at all, because it's like we're finding that trace amounts are enough to cause measurable harm. Yeah, that's what they're saying. You understand? Okay, so Cog, your alcoholism is interfering with your ability to look at data. So have you looked at all the information of looking at the research and all of this? Is these population studies looking at the wine, they're finding actually it turns out it's harmful in any amount. Anything looking at positive effects has now been debunked. And no, not all Mediterraneans drink a lot of wine. So yes, keep in mind, you're not arguing with me. You're arguing with the leading cancer researchers around the world. This is not arguing with Jason Blaha. So if you have a problem with what I'm saying, you need to go to their live streams or their pages and tell them they're wrong, Mr. PhD in cancer research. You're wrong. You need to go tell him that. Because that's what the research shows. And it's talk about addiction, the same thing. You can't become an alcoholic if you don't take the first drink. Right? You don't take the first drink, you can't become an alcoholic. All right, I need to get more coffee though. All right, we're back. You know, but the argument of it seems like so little. Well, why don't you hold that same view on other poisons? You know, keep in mind it's a poison. Does it really take a lot of poison to do harm to your body? It's so little lead. That's so little arsenic. It's so little, cyanide. But the issue is alcohol is an addictive poison. So therefore that clouds our thinking on it. It's addictive. All right. Hence the problem. But that's the other issue, is that it is both a poison and a carcinogen through separate pathways. Like it has a carcinogenic effect. It has nothing to do with its liver toxicity. So that's why the cancer rates on it are the organs that it touches, right? Mouth, esophagus, stomach, colon, intestines. That's where it causes the cancer. Because your liver can't filter that out first. It's going to hit all those tissues before your liver can handle it. Anything else going on, man? There's no other comments. Alan, but I don't agree with that statement. The easy way to give alcohol is not be able to afford it. I don't know, man. There are plenty of alcoholics sitting under bridges who still somehow manage to get alcohol. Right? I don't think that's the solution. Right? So a lot of it has to be that social push. Right? You have to make sobriety popular, because right now only 30% of Americans completely abstain. 1 in 3. So again, and I can't worry about the rest of the world, right? It's not my society, it's not my culture. I can't focus on all that, right? I mean, hell, we got all the people that talk to in these other countries don't even have guns. I mean, I can't fix all their problems. But as far as our own society goes, you push sobriety, and you definitely have to popularize the idea that it's wrong to push alcohol on people. We have a peer pressure issue, right? That when people want to stop drinking, everyone pressures them into it. Like, that's still a major problem in our society. The major problem in our society, that someone who chooses not to drink, the alcoholics can't handle it, right? Because there's always that peer pressure put back on them, and that's definitely a problem. But again, it has to do with the addictive nature of it. Of the addict can't handle someone else not drinking or choosing to quit. They almost take it as a personal attack on them. But yeah, so I mean, again, it's that social push. You make sobriety popular, normalize it. And some of that comes by promoting the information and showing people and explaining that no, their moderation is still harmful. This is well understood at this point. And it's newer and newer data. Because of people's addictions, there was so much biased data in favor of alcohol that as research has gotten better, the ability to analyze data has shown that was problematic. So all that stuff has been, alcohol would be banned and quality of life were a priority. Absolutely, it would be. The issue is that the hardest part, though, is, and I've seen people point that out, banning alcohol isn't like other hard drugs because it's too easy to make. In other words, you can't make all these other drugs out of everything. Unfortunately, alcohol can be made out of almost every major food supply. Therefore, banning it very, very difficult, short of extremely draconian measures. Yeah, taxes is not the solution. Like, I have an issue with that too. Let's just tax something that's addictive. What? Yeah, let's just tax something that's addictive. That doesn't sound like a scheme. Yeah, we'll just let them sell an addictive product and we'll slap a tax on the addiction. I mean, if I worked in government and wanted to make money, I'd be like, hey, can we find a way to make it more addictive? You're incentivizing it. I thought taxing the sugar would be a good move. No, we just need to quit putting refined sugar in foods. I don't ever use the word sugar because this implies, I hate it when people just use sugar, unless you mean specifically sucrose, like table sugar, right? But sugar in general isn't bad. Our only concern is refined fructose, which is generally going to be in the form of sucrose or high fructose corn syrup. But we have a problem where we have clowns now who don't know nutrition making policy, like the problem with RFK. Oh, let's just replace high fructose corn syrup with table sugar. Well, there's no difference, right? Like there's no difference. Your body can't tell them apart. There's no difference. So this doesn't help anything. But ultimately your solution's there. Quit putting it in food, right? Instead of generate revenue off the working class by the government. That's not the problem. Hey, Cog, I don't go to bars. What do you mean when I go to a bar? I don't want to hang around with a bunch of drunk people at a bar. Looking how I look is a problem in some bars. Right. But no, I don't go to bars. I haven't been in a bar in many, many, many years. I haven't been in a bar since I stopped drinking, actually. So I haven't been in a bar in at least 7 or 8 years. So since I don't drink, why would I be hanging out in a bar? You know? Alan, I've discussed this many times. I've been around plenty of friends and social events who are drinking, and I'm just fine. No, no, I'm not actually tempted to drink. I've only had a couple of temptations in the 7 years. I managed to just quit cold turkey and walk away very successfully. Um, Now, as of some other stuff that's recently happened, I can't really. I don't feel like I can be around it right now. Not because I want to drink, but because I get angry. Just some stuff I've experienced gives me almost a PTSD type episode. So I actually get nauseated when I see it on my screen on social media. Hey, Cog, you're not welcome on my channel saying nonsense like that. Your pro alcohol stuff of saying you used to say no, get out of my channel. You're not welcome here. Done. Yep. He argued with me about the science. He talked about, oh, I'm a happy, moderating alcohol. And I know you're not. Get out of here. I don't need that in here. When you decide to do something about your alcoholism and you want to come back, then message me on social media, Cog. You can message me on Facebook or whatever and discuss being unbanned. But I'm not going to allow you to promote alcoholism in my live stream. and particularly claim that message knowing that I've been sober. Well, you used to drink, right? You used to feel it was okay. Bro, I'm almost 7 years sober. We're coming up on 7 year anniversary. You're not going to promote it in my channel. You know? No, don't need it. But no, I mean, I don't want to be around it for the other reasons, Alan. I get upset by alcohol at this point, and I just don't want to be around people drinking. You know, I just don't want anything to do with it. So, yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. I'm not actually tempted to drink at all, but I get angry around it. I don't want to be around it. I don't want it near me. You know, that's kind of my viewpoint. I want nothing to do with it. I don't want to be around intoxicated people. I mean, would I go be a designated driver if I need to? Yes. Like, will I be around an intoxicated person to save lives? Yes. Like, do we need someone to get you home safely? Right. But we have Uber today. So I almost feel like there's no requirement for that either. Right. With the existence of Uber, these problems, like the fact that there's a single drunk driver in the world of Uber is inexcusable. You know, inexcusable. Drunk driving should carry a draconian sentence, right? I agree. But that shows the problem with addiction. We're pretty harsh on drunk drivers in Texas. It's actually pretty harsh. This is a hot take for me, but even being a designated driver encourages others to drink in excess, though I know it comes from a good place, right? Yeah. And it's still a problem here. Like, we have a significant death toll from it in Texas in spite of the draconian laws, which I think shows the problem. Right? We're pretty harsh on drunk drivers here. Yet it's still a nonstop occurrence. Like, I know police officers who are like, dude, we arrest people every night for drunk driving. They're like, I've seen numerous deaths from drunk driving in a place where we throw the book at you. Okay. So your first offense here, you can lose your driver's license up to 2 years. You go on probation. So a lot of times here, a first offense, they might take your license for up to 2 years and give you a year probation or 6 months probation, which includes being drug tested and community service. Okay. So if you go on probation, you have to go in for random drug and alcohol testing. You have to meet with a probation officer. They take your license. Second offense, it scales up. Third offense is a felony. So in Texas, if you get a third DWI at all, like spaced out over the years, it becomes a felony. Felony is prison time. You lose the right to vote. You lose the right to carry a gun, right? So on and so forth. You have a felony on your record. Yep. Right. So, yeah, in Texas, a third DWI is a third degree felony to serious crime, can include 2 to 10 years in prison, a fine of up to $10,000, and a driver's license suspension. Also, then potential mandatory interlocking device on your vehicle, so on. All right. Let me check even the first one. This is a Class B. First offense is a Class B, license suspension for up to 1 year, $2,000 in fine, 3 to 880 days in jail. Often results in a probation instead of jail time, but you have to complete a DUI education program. It may involve an ignition interlocking device. So they put the breath thing on your car to where you can't start your car without blowing into it. Yeah. You effectively become a subject, not a citizen, right? Yep. But yeah, felonies, you start losing rights. Like you can't vote anymore. So yeah, usually felonies, once you're a felon in the US, you lose your voting rights and your firearm ownership. So again, you're a subject, not a citizen at that point. Um, you're no longer truly a citizen in all race. But yeah, so we have a 3 strikes you're out there. But the same thing with our felonies. So step back and think about that from an abuse perspective with the Texas felony stuff. Like we're very harsh on crime in general. Um, we have a lot of freedoms, but we don't put up with a lot. Right. All right. So yeah, our 3 strikes. Your third felony becomes a mandatory life sentence, irrespective of the severity of the felony. You see where we're going with this? It's possible in Texas to get yourself life in prison from enough DUIs. You can go to prison for the rest of your life, like a life sentence. Here, the first one is rarely jailable. It's usually probation, but you lose your license for a year. You don't want to get caught driving without a license. But the third one's a felony. You lose your right to vote. You lose your right to hold certain jobs just in general. Right? But I mean, think of the most extreme end with it here. If the third DUI becomes a felony, that means all subsequent DUIs become a felony. What happens when you get to 3 felonies in Texas? You don't get out. That's it. Yet people still drink and drive every day. I mean, hypothetically, yeah. I mean, if they're on separate occasions. Now, granted, you're probably going to prison on the third one now. So, I mean, you've had time to rehab while you've been in jail. So that means you're getting back out and re-drinking again and going and driving. after you got out of prison. I mean, you were sober while in prison, you know. A minute, I'm gonna make some Facebook posts. So yeah, anyone who does it 5 times deserves what they get, right? But again, it's the issue of the problem of addiction. But in that case, it's not even seeking help for your addiction at that point, right? Mm. It's refusal to get help. Yeah, you need jail or institutionalized, and I agree. I mean, if you're getting a third DWI, you refuse to get help and go get into AA or something like that. You know. Mm. Oh, Sean. Oh, man. Flintstone Verity. Steve says, I wonder how many lives would be saved a year if breathalyzer was mandated on every motor vehicle. That's the problem, too, though, Steve. I would want an exception for me as a non-drinker. Like, I shouldn't have to be subject to that BS. I don't drink at all. You know, like that would be quite an annoyance for me to have to breathe into a damn breathalyzer when I don't drink. I see where you're going, but notice my annoyance. I'm like, I don't drink. I don't allow alcohol in my home. I don't need this stupid breathalyzer. You know. The problem is the funding and it would be better to simply go after alcohol than it. Think of the level of resources required though at this point to put the system like that. Think about the money and the resources. At that point, it would almost be easier to just outlaw it. Yeah, it would literally be easier to just outlaw it and put a ban on alcohol than to implement millions, hundreds of millions of interlock devices and breathalyzers. No, Sean, I'm not. Hey, Sean, I get it that you're really anti-vegan, but we're just kidding. That's a little mentally ill, dude. No, I'm not going to wish him a happy birthday for being a slaughterhouse worker. Just stop. It would be easier to outlaw, but that will not work. You know. But if you think in terms of the resources, no, like the resource investment for that would be extremely high. I suppose it's okay, Sean. Oh, man. But you know what? At least this is happy stuff. Or at least we're not dealing with the alcoholic in here, anti-gun alcoholic. So, I guess by that same token, in comparison, Sean, your post compared to that nonsense, all good, brother. Appreciate it, man. All right. Although, Steve, I don't think so. Let me rephrase that. I think the breathalyzer in the current technology would be problematic. Now, as technology improves, could we simply have stuff, newer technology to deal with it? Absolutely. Right. As I think it's the issue of the resource investment is not going to fly over with people because of the amount of work involved in them being hooked up to a system. However, technology changing would be different. But I guess the frustration for me is as a non-drinker, I shouldn't have to deal with this BS at all. Like on my vehicle as someone who doesn't drink, me having to breathe into a breathalyzer as someone who doesn't drink ever. The resource investment would be insanely high to make people breathe every time, the breathalyzer, the financial costs of slowing stuff down. Now, if we can innovate better technology that's more efficient, then we may have something workable here. So that's an option, right? But in terms of the current format and the problems with it, dude, we'd have cars shutting off all the time. People having to it would create bigger, like you may actually cause more deaths through other accidents due to the way these interlock systems currently work. Does that make sense? Are you familiar with them? Dudes be having to stop and pull over on the side of the road to keep driving. So if everyone's having to do this, you're going to create extra traffic, extra accidents, extra congestion. So what I mean is, we need the technology to improve to implement something like this. Now, is this a good idea in that regard? Yeah, but I'm saying with the current, yeah, you got to breathe again on the thing. So Peppermint, the way the current technology is, yes, people have to stop and rebreathe into them in the middle of driving and stuff if there's an issue with the system. Yes, absolutely. And if they can't get it to work right, they can't get their car to start. So even a completely sober person could literally be late to work who doesn't drink, trying to deal with the breathalyzer. Because their vehicle now won't start if they can't get it to work right. So do you see what I mean? With the current technology, this is a nightmare. It is literally, it would just be simpler to ban alcohol and execute everyone who makes it. Would actually, compared to implementing this, would almost be easier. While I applaud the idea, you see where we're going with this. We're getting over to this is a little silly, and implement this on every vehicle. It's a much higher resource investment than people realize. It really is, with its own set of problems that would evolve, that would all the way up to including accidents and innocent deaths. If this was a mandated new technology, it would be possibly, right? So how are they going to regulate that? But Is the idea itself an interesting one, Steve? I think the problem right now is the current technology. There's no way you're implementing it on that scale. It would be so hated and complained about. All right. But let's come over to the other point. I would argue, so let's use this same logic for the other thing. So let's come over to the hurdles to get over. It's easier than burying innocent people. Okay. All right. So let's go somewhere with that. I would argue that simply executing all the alcohol manufacturers would also be an easier hurdle to deal with and keep burying innocent people. I mean, if we're going to talk about really upsetting and inconveniencing people, because like, dude, people would be pissed with this thing. Like, it would be a major problem real fast. So let's come over to. I think people, given a choice, the majority of the population would rather deal with executing the alcohol manufacturers than them have to blow. I think if the average person had to pick, they were forced to pick between these two choices you just proposed of dealing with the interlock device versus them saying, how about if we just outlaw alcohol and we execute anyone who tries to manufacture it? If they were forced to pick between these two choices, like if they were given a popular vote as a society and you had to pick one, these were your only two options on the table, what do you think would end up winning? Keep in mind the average person being really inconvenienced by that device. How do you see that vote panning out? If people were forced, you had to pick one or the other in a popular vote. Execute all the manufacturers or have to deal with the interlock device. Well, maybe I don't know, man, in the US, they might actually go for the draconian law on the manufacturers. But no. So let's come over to these two choices. We're not saying to continue to bury innocent people. Let's pick between the two choices on the table. If society was forced to pick one of these two choices in a vote, they don't have the third option of burying innocent people. They have to pick between executing all the manufacturers of alcohol and outlawing it, or them having to blow into this stupid device every time they want to start their car. And then deal with the nonsense of it shutting off and having to redo it all the time. Which one would people pick? I think they choose to execute the manufacturers. Now, in your case in the UK, because everyone is so alcohol addicted, the alcoholism is out of control. I think that would be enough for the Brits to finally overthrow their government. They won't do it over guns. They won't do it over taxes. Right? They'll pay a 30% income tax and be disarmed. Yeah. Man. But this shows how big our problem is. Do you give free lifting techniques? I have tutorials. I don't do one-on-one coaching for free. I'm $100 for a 1 hour consultation call. My full-time coaching is $250 a month. Right. Hey, Steve. I don't think you understand how big of a resource strain it would be. It would literally still cause deaths. Like, I do mean that. It would still kill people. People would die as a result of the interlock stuff. So with the current technology, but the idea is interesting, right? So I'm not telling you, oh, this is a terrible idea. It's not a bad idea at all. All right. Sean, I will do life advice in the calls, but I'm not going to entertain it here. You need to contact me and discuss payment. Right. So the point is I agree with the peppermint. It's not practical or workable. The idea itself in principle is sound. A piece of technology that might be an inconvenience to save a bunch of innocent lives. Okay. Do you see where we're going? Not bad idea. I have the whole channel. I mean, yes, I have 12,000. Hank, I have 12,000 videos about lifting, including tutorials on the channel. Use the channel search engine. Look how many videos I have. Right. Right. Luxus, I think I agree with you. Right. I think the production of alcohol has been the largest crime against humanity ever in the history of our existence. See, there you go, guys. You got a girl. She's pretty and she's got a brain. That's a good combination in a lady, right? Some of you single guys might be like, "Hey, what's up, Lexus? Right, thoughts on getting my bench up?" I think everyone should get their bench up. I think I should keep getting my bench up. Right? So, no, I mean, I agree. Alcohol is an absolute evil, right? And it's not because other drugs are not worse. It's the fact of how rampantly it's spread. Um, you know, um, it is because of the rate at which it's spread and the ease of which it's made out of so many things. It's made it the problem that it is. But I mean, it's the impact on humanity as a whole has been enormously negative, right? And I don't think the statement there is unreasonable. Um, it's not unreasonable at all. To say that it is one of the largest crimes against humanity in the history of our existence, I'm going to be inclined to agree with the statement. You know, I am inclined to agree. Uh, did you not read her post, Hank? She wrote, I think the production of alcohol has been the largest crime against humanity ever in the history of our existence. You know, I'm less than 2 months from my 7-year sobriety. Oh, I mean, I don't allow alcohol in my home, so I'm pretty anti-alcohol. I don't drink it, don't want anything to do with it. I don't allow people to bring it into my house. You know. But we come back over to the other point, Steve. I mean, rather than inconvenience non-drinkers, we should just execute the makers. I really think that's the better solution. You know, no, Hank, they're not bringing alcohol into my house. It's very straightforward. It's not allowed in my home. So how are they going to be drinking? So what do you mean? What would I do? Well, keep in mind, I live in a castle law state. You brought alcohol into my home and you start drinking knowing it's against my rules. Everyone who comes into my house knows alcohol is not allowed in my home. So you're telling me a person has now come into my home and they've opened a container and are drinking in front of me. I'm going to remove them from my home. If they refuse to leave my home, I am now legally justified in drawing down and forcing them to leave at gunpoint. No, Hank, it's not true. That has been debunked. That research has been debunked by the current researchers. You do know that, right? Are you not up to speed on this research? And if they refuse, you know what's next, right? Let me state again, I live in a castle law state. You've just been told to leave my home at gunpoint and you've refused. Well, I hope that you've made your peace with God at that point. Yeah. Hank is asking age, sex, location for peppermint. Oh, God. I haven't heard that in years, right? Oh, Hank. So, Hank, you made a new account today just to come in here and promote alcohol. Here it comes. Y'all ready? We got a bunch of people who don't like alcohol in here. Y'all ready? Peppermint, Luxus, Steve. Here it comes. A little bit of shake and bake. Kapow! You're out of here, Hank. All right. All right. Yeah, Hank is 9 minutes old. They've made a new account just to come into my YouTube and promote alcohol. Garrett says, Jason, are you still aware? Still aware of what, Garrett? Garrett's on Facebook. What am I still aware of, Garrett? Could you be more specific? Any amount of alcohol is poison. I mean, that's what the data shows. You know. I would argue, though, Steve, with your other scenario, that there should be an exception granted to non-drinkers. Like, I'm not putting up with alcohol inconveniencing me further because people choose to drink. I'm kind of sick of being inconvenienced by it. That includes me having to do a breathalyzer on a vehicle. Now, I say we just kill them at that point. No, not doing it. I'm kind of tired of being punished because of alcoholics, personally. Kind of tired of it. Keep in mind, the last vehicle I owned was totaled by a drunk driver who hit it. So, very recently. I've lost loved ones to drunk drivers. I'm kind of over it. Kind of at a point where, so now on top of it, you want me to put an interlock device as a non-drinker because of these people. How about we just execute them too? Then we don't have to worry about it. Right? That's kind of where I'm at with it. Would kind of be my response at that point. Now, I'm not dealing with this extra inconvenience for these people. But no, I mean, I get it. They're addicts. So you really have to go after the source. You really do. And that means the people making it. Man, I got banned, Garrett, bro. I got banned on the Mist. Sorry, I'm on the tube. Most of my live stream is on the tube. I'm double streaming. So if you're unaware, Garrett, I'm double streaming on the tubes in here. Even though my Facebook is bigger, the lives don't get the same views my YouTubes do. Bro, I've been banned from the Mist for like over a decade. Lane Norton got me banned for saying he had the Clomid blues when he was like being a crybaby about something. Like, sounds like you got the Clomid blues. After we'd had our lawsuit. So then he got me banned permanently from bodybuilding.com. Back in the day. That's been a long, long, long time, man. I still have some friends from the MISC. Like Ariel's from the MISC, so I've done some collab work with her. Yeah. Jesse says, used to watch your barefoot running. If I do the vlogs again, they'll be on Facebook. I'm only allowed 3 pieces of YouTube content a day. So wasting it on a running vlog is not a good use of my non-spam algorithm feed. So I'm not going to do any running vlogs on the YouTube. They don't make enough money to justify the slot. They make 50 cents. I use one of my 3 pieces of content a day for 50 cents. I don't think so. Nope. Yeah, the notifications, that's helped a lot. Mainly because of the supers and the members. It still doesn't make a huge amount on these lives in terms of ad revenue. But Jesse, you just made this account. You're the guy we just banned a few minutes ago. And I got one for your casting. Are we getting them from the post too? I can get one from your training blogs. Okay. So I got to watch that. That might be over spamming if I'm not careful. Right. Only once. Okay. So I need to definitely not announce the streams in there though, because that might be wasting one people's feeds. Just got to be aware of that. Trying for them to not have me done as spam. Your foot barefooting. Okay. I had one of my regular other dudes comment on there on Facebook yesterday about my barefoot sled work. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna skip on some of that. He's like, that's gotta hurt. And I'm like, bro, it builds testicular fortitude. It builds testicular fortitude, man. Barefoot sled sprints, barefoot running, barefoot. Like, guys, come on. It will toughen you up. Again, we have a problem with the pussification of the Western male. We become soft. Right? We become soft. This is not good, guys. We got to toughen up a little bit. I don't talk about Minzer's training. People ask me about Minzer's training. I don't I talk about it negatively. His later stuff was stupid. What are you talking about, Jesse? Jesse, you made this account just to come in and troll. You're the guy I just banned a few minutes ago. Kapow! And you're out of here. Makes a brand new account to come in after he just got banned again. All day, every day. All day, every day. Coming up in here getting banned. I actually saw someone get scolded for running barefoot on a treadmill at the gym. The office crew had to get involved. What? I know. I don't know why gyms are like that. Like, I think people are getting germs on the floor. Now, in socks is a problem. Socks are an injury risk. Just socks only. That's actually a slip risk. But barefoot, yet you go to all sorts of fighting gyms and stuff, and it's never a problem. Their concern is hygiene, but it's like, why don't you just clean your gym? I mean, are bare feet really that big of a deal? Like, who are you worried about spreading germs, one barefoot person to another barefoot person? I don't know. It's a very strange thing. That's really what it comes down to. They're concerned that it's not hygienic. But it's like, because people sweating and stuff isn't already hitting the floor. Right? Bare feet on the treadmill. There's influencers. Carrie Ann June runs barefoot on the gym and the treadmill. She squats, deadlifts barefoot. She runs on the treadmill. She got millions of followers. What I want to know is why people who get mad at me over it don't go harass her. Why don't they harass Chris Duffin? I don't know why they got to mess with me. It's like the people who don't like how I do a curl or anything. It's like, or a lateral raise. And it's like, well, why don't you go harass Arnold or Jay Cutler or Ronnie? Why don't you go harass all these pro bodybuilders instead of me, who cheat 20 times more than I do on these lifts? I just can't deal with it. I just can't. I'll be right back, guys. Hit that like button down. Oh man. So I'm back. So what was their reason for scolding the person on it, Alan? What was the situation? All right. Legitimately curious. Hey everyone, just swinging into her lifter here. Oh Lord. Cool. I'm gonna ban the same guy 20 times today. Get 20 new subscribers. All right? Why not? Why not? That's a good question. Let me go look at why do gyms not allow shoes? Let's see. AI says gyms require shoes primarily for safety, hygiene, and liability reasons. Proper footwear protects you from drop weights. Yeah, it's not going to protect your feet from drop weights. Necessary grip. Really? You don't need shoes for grip. I deadlifted 600. I've squatted 600 pounds on camera without shoes before. What do we mean for grip? What are people talking about? Right? Your soles work just fine for that. Hell, I push a sled down the street barefoot. What are they talking about? What a strange idea that your feet don't grip just fine. How weird. I'm just saying that's a weird, same thing. You think a tennis shoe is going to protect your feet from dropping a 45-pound plate on it? I don't think so. No. Oh man. I will say though that whatever the gym rules are, you got to follow. I mean, that's true. No, I mean, the business sets of rules. You have to follow their rules. If you don't like it, go find a different business that has different rules. And that's a valid point. I'll agree there. I mean, their rules are their rules. We could argue their rules are dumb. We could argue their rules are problematic, but it is a private business. If they say you have to lift in a red shirt, you better try on a red shirt or find another gym. I mean, pretty much. No, I mean, valid point. Valid point, man. I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the Facebook though. Love you guys on Facebook. We're out. Not really anyone in there. We had this chalk debate. Let them suffer for a loss of custom, right? Yeah. Banning chalk is a safety issue, actually. But if they want to deal with that, then it's like I would argue now that's a safety issue. Right? We lift with chalk for a reason. Reduces hand injuries. You know. Yeah, that might be one for a law to step in, right? But, you know, what do you do? Let me get me started on that. Safety laws. So that's kind of an annoyance we deal with, like in the gun community. Safety devices are more regulated than firearms are in the U.S. Oh, man. So suppressors being falling under the NFA, it's a hearing protection device. But because of movies in Hollywood, they've stayed banned. Like you can clearly blame Hollywood for the fear of suppressors. Yeah. Just one who doesn't ban it if they're not serious, right? Just go to one who doesn't ban. Yeah, because most gyms are going to allow chop. But you can also use liquid grip. I can't imagine them banning liquid grip, which is what I use. I mean, since I trained at home, and I started doing liquid grip because I trained indoors before the garage gym at home in my old condo. I didn't want chalk everywhere, so I used liquid grip. Problem solved. I mean, I still got the chalk nest monster. Peppermint, have you seen the chalk nest monster? Right. You got the chalk nest monster. I've had this for years and years. I still got a bunch of blocks of it left. I had to buy it. I'm ridiculous. I saw it. Oh, I got to buy this gym chalk. The chalk nest monster. That's gym chalk, man. It's the chalk nest. What do you mean? What is that? It says what it is right there. Chalk nest monster gym chalk, bro. It says it. I should get a picture of this later. I need about 350. 350. You use that if you're going to deadlift at least 350. Got to use the chalk nest monster. All right. That was the chalk nest monster, Eloy's. Hey, Eloy's. You've used that name before, by the way. You ready? You ready? Kapow! Get out of here, Eloy's. Quit recycling the same names. It's too obvious when you make a new account if you're using a variation of the same name you've used before. You got to be smarter than this. Right? I was born tonight, but not last night, baby. As Kid Rock once said. I need to remake that post. All right. That was one of my better joke posts I made a while back. Cardi B makes music for women who freeze their panties and wear them a second time and wear them again. And Kid Rock makes music for guys who know how much Sudafed you can buy. All right. Within 1 minute. They must not think you get rid of the words. It must still be there, guys. Hold on. Oh man. I don't know, man. I mean, these trolls and haters are that dumb. All right. I think it's gone. I think it's gone. I don't see it. But it could have been written in invisible ink. Maybe it's just like under black light or something. And so, maybe they have a little black light thing on it and they still see it written there. It still shows through on the screen. I don't know, man. It's possible. Maybe it's written on their monitor. Could be, man. But again, these I've noticed they miss a lot of subtle nuance because of their own strange legends about me. They've misjudged a lot of stuff, so they get so many things wrong in their assumptions. But there are also many of them have their own set of poor social skills, and so they can't observe certain things correctly. Like some stuff to me was just ludicrous that they didn't grasp. I don't want to say certain things, but there's just stuff that I'm shocked. I'm shocked at. Right? So I think a lot of them actually believe their own legend at a certain point. They actually believe in the persona they created around me. Like it has become their reality, unfortunately. Uh, you know. Man, to the point where many of them actually think that I'm autistic or on the spectrum, so on and so forth. Some of them actually really believe I'm short. So it's just they have their own strange ideas. A lot of projection there too. Yeah, yeah. It must be written on their monitor, Peppermint. It must be written on their monitor. They're living in their own fantasy. Pius DX. Hey, Jason, I'm finally back to working hard in the gym after a number of surgeries. I watched an old video of yours advocating not going 100%. The idea was building strength versus demonstrating strength. Well, by going 100%, meaning not necessarily maxing out. I mean, obviously, your work sets should be nearly 100% effort, right? Right. Or I call it oftentimes life at 90%. Oh, you're welcome, man. Man. Have you commented on Leonas's last video? No, you guys haven't told me about his life. So you guys have to tell me, is there something I need to know about here? I don't watch any YouTube fitness. So if you guys don't tell me what's going on, I don't have any idea. So Rolex, why specifically are you asking me about his last video? So is there a particular reason for this question that I need to know about? This is not an authority on lifting, right? Fair statement. So Rolex, don't just leave me hanging. What's going on? No, he basically just advocates 2 sets to failure for novices. Seems wrong. I don't know. I mean, a lot of my stuff was 3 sets with progressive overload for novices. But I mean, novices training to failure on a bunch of big movements. Like what movements? People who are new to the gym, brand new novices doing sets of squats and bench press to failure. I don't know, man. I could see some issues real quick here. I mean, I don't have an issue with the idea of 2 sets to failure. I mean, how do I train? I mean, is that largely what I do for most of my stuff, right? I go to 0 reps in reserve on a lot of stuff, or I go to actual failures. Pretty much my normal. But I do usually 2 sets of exercise myself, up to 3 times a week. But for novices, I don't know that this is the most practical advice. So reason we do linear with resets on novices who are left to their own devices. There are reasons for that. All right, it is done for a reason. Well, we've been here a long time this morning. It's been past 3 hours. We didn't get any supers yet this morning. Oh well, it happens. We got supers yesterday, and I got a consult tonight. It looks like I'm getting paid for, so it all balances out in the end. I need Simon to come back. I got a client who's supposed to come back this month who does 6-month packages. He's a little delayed. That's what my business needs the most this month. And I have 2 other clients who talked about coming back here shortly as soon as they get over some stuff. I need them to come back. I think those 3, that would be what my business could use most this month. Those 3 client returns, including the package client, would be just about perfect. And I need Billy to rebuy a package next month. He does 3 months at a time. That's what my business needs more than super chats. Right. Consults have been good though. Like I've made pretty good on consultations for non-client calls. I've done like $600 in those so far, with another one coming today probably. I'll definitely get the mod roll. Is this a fake Lars joined with a coach? GBD. Well, we got a fake Lars. Why we got a fake Lars in here? You can't see him. So he blocked you. Oh, does he got you blocked? No, I can see him now. Look at that. He thinks he's Slick Rick. Yeah, that's definitely not the main Lars. Get rid of it. Would you recommend bench before? I would generally bench before dips. Generally would recommend it before dips. Your chest is stagnant. Well, maybe it's because you make a new account nonstop and get banned over and over and over. Water puller. That's probably a factor. Bro, if I ban you over and over, you just keep making a new account, you know. Oh, yeah, I'm new on YouTube. Notice he doesn't get bored. That's the funniest part. I use an AI website called Notebook, whatever, to summarize entire YouTube videos. Having to watch them could be a good way to keep an eye on the industry. I don't know about that. That sounds, I don't want to be all too buddy buddy with AI. I already use it for my thumbnails, man. What would John Connor think? Right? What would John Connor do? Hold on, I'll be right back. And we're back. We're back. Back in black out of the set. Baby Rolex. Got slow in here now. How many views we got? I guess I got to do snazzy titles in the coffee chats again. Probably would help. I don't know why I didn't. Probably not good. Costing myself views when I could be putting something clickbaity in there, right? All right, guys, I'm kind of tired. I kind of want to just lay down for a few before I get ready to train. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and wind this down. I love you guys, and I'm out of here.